Chapter 11, Shameless Fenric Name a Price. The instant Fenric suggested the price might shift, the middle-aged woman's eyes widened dramatically. What do you mean? Fenric gave her a smile. I've got the information that cleared a dungeon at Supergod evaluation. You think 20 million is costly, others would queue up to pay. Interested. You. She nearly labeled him shameless, but she held back. Fine, she said through gritted teeth. 20 million deal. But you must promise, no reselling for 1 month. That was reasonable. In Samsara space, each player can only refresh a specific dungeon once monthly, cleared or failed. She just failed. She needed exclusive rights to the walkthrough before her retry. Good, Fenric said, satisfied. We'll finalize it outside. 20 million just like that, truly a wealthy Samsara player. I'll wait for you in Samsara space, exit quickly, she stated. Then she silently activated return. Her body became blurred and disappeared. Fenric didn't depart immediately. He still had something to resolve. He'd told Inspector Andy Lau he would request Superintendent Wang to advocate for him in court. To argue for clemency. Dungeon or not, these NPCs felt genuine. A promise made should be a promise honored. He stopped outside Superintendent Wang's temporary office, took a breath, and knocked. Knock, knock, knock. Come in, came Superintendent Wang's voice. Fenric stepped inside and paused. Someone else was present. A weary, unshaven man in his early 30s, eyes heavy with years of pressure, but sharp. Familiar. John, perfect timing, said Superintendent Wang with a grin. This is Anthony Wang, he's our undercover agent. His status is officially reinstated, you'll be colleagues. Anthony Wang Chaosang extended a hand. Nice to meet you, John. Fenric shook it. Welcome back, Brother Anthony. The smile that appeared across Anthony Wang's face was pure relief. 10 years undercover, finally over. Superintendent Wang's been praising you highly, Anthony added. Says you're talented. Superintendent Wang overestimates me, Fenric replied. Superintendent Wang laughed. You came for something. Fenric nodded. Yes, about Inspector Andy Lau. He wanted to be a genuine cop. Eric Sang held leverage over him, he couldn't break free. I hope you'll speak to the judge, ask they give him a lighter sentence. Superintendent Wang went silent, thinking. Then he spoke. Since you asked, I'll grant you that favor, agreed. But you're coming to the celebration banquet. Fenric shook his head. I'd like to, but I really can't stay. All right, I won't force you. Then I won't disturb you too, goodbye. Fenric left the office, ducked into a restroom stall, and whispered quietly. Return. His body dissolved. Vision snapped back. He stood once more in the central square of Samsara space. He glanced at the time display and froze. He'd spent 7 to 8 hours inside infernal affairs. Out here, barely 1 hour had passed. Right, the Samsara space runs in real time, but dungeon flow is scaled. According to inherited memory, no matter how long a Samsara player spends inside a dungeon. Days, months, even years, only 1 hour elapses in Samsara space or real time upon return. A staggering time dilation ratio. No wonder so many believed Samsara space was the work of gods. What else could bend time like this? Ding! A soft chime sounded by his ear. You have a new communication. ARC invites you to a video call, please respond. ARC, that should be her. The Samsara player, who'd taken a middle-aged female officer, disguise in the dungeon. Open video, Fenric ordered. A holographic projection window unfolded before him. In Samsara space, privacy was enforced. No one else could see what he saw unless he allowed it. To others in the square, he was just standing there, expression focused, talking to air. Inside the hollow window, a masked girl avatar appeared. Chapter 12, Shura boss, please carry me. Shura, it's me. The masked girl, handle arc, appeared in Fenric's holographic call window. Like him, she used a custom avatar with face covering. In Samsara space, appearances could be altered freely to hide identity, though gender couldn't be spoofed. How do you want to trade the Infernal Affairs strategy? She asked. I said I want cash, Fenric replied. Then he paused, considered logistics, and revised his answer. On second thought, 20 million in bills is too bulky. Let's do gold bars worth 20 million, easier to move. 20 million in banknotes wouldn't fit in a small sack. Gold would fit in a suitcase. No problem, but how do I get the gold to you? Ark asked. Good question. A face-to-face meeting would expose identities, unacceptable. If you trust me, she said. Give me a delivery address, I'll courier the gold. Once you confirm receipt, we meet back here tonight and you give me the full walkthrough. Nope, Fenric shut that down immediately. Any address, real or staged, left a trail. Enough digging and someone could track him in the real world. Then the only option is Samsara system escrow, Ark said. But the fee is brutal, 30%, you cover it. Fenric's eyes lit up, there's a built-in trade channel. Expensive but safe. 30% of 20 million was 6 million. Painful, but survivable for security. We go through Samsara trade, Fenric said. Fee split half each. Ark remained silent for a moment. Fine tomorrow night deal. She cut the call, clearly annoyed. Fenric closed the window, amused. He'd barely shut the Ark call when a new notification chimed. New communication, cat lover requests video. Accept, Fenric said. A burly, overexcited man materialized. Whoa, you're the Shura boss, that SSS rating insane. Can you share the Infernal Affairs strategy with me? No. Click call terminated. Another chime. New communication, Sikadir requests video. He accepted. A cute girl avatar pouted into frame. Hi, Shura Tilda, I really want to clear Infernal Affairs. I don't have money, but I'm super pretty. If you give me your strategy, I'll stay with you for a month. Anything you want. Click gone. More pings poured in, dozens, maybe hundreds. His comm queue stacked like spam mail after a holiday. Annoyed, Fenric told the system something. Reject all incoming calls except Ark. Acknowledged, non-priority communications will be intercepted. Silence finally. Time to process loot. Mission rewards, Infernal Affairs SSS. Samsara points, plus 10,000. Spirit, plus 10, auto-applied. Skill unlocked, camouflage/disguise mastery, auto-learned. Dungeon cooldown refresh card, safe zone eligible, stored in personal warehouse. For a safe zone dungeon, this haul was huge. Below S rank, most runs dropped only a handful of points and maybe one low-tier item. Fenric's spirit increase and skill unlock were already applied. That left two things to manage. 10,000 Samsara points. Cooldown refresh card. The card was the real gem. Normally, the same dungeon can only be re-entered once per month, success or failure. Use the card, skip the wait, jump straight into another run. Perfect for speed progression. He handled points first. In Samsara space, points are hard currency. Buy items, meds, gear from the Samsara Mall. Rarely purchase special skills if listed. Pay penalties when you fail safe zone missions. Boost skill proficiency. Convert to potential for raw stat growth. Rate, 300 points, convert to 1 potential. Fenric redeemed 6,000 points for 20 potential, then split them accordingly. He left 4,000 points in reserve for emergency purchases or future upgrades. Chapter 13, Comprehensive Strength E rank. When Fenric finished allocating 20 potential, heat surged through his body. Muscles tightened, senses sharpened, even his balance felt different. It was as if gravity had eased. A sharp burning sting flared across the full moon tattoo on his arm. He glanced down. An E glyph bloomed at the center of the mark. Threads of faint red light flowing beneath the skin like molten circuitry. A status panel unfolded. Name, Shura. Samsara number, C-Zone 90,086. Physique, 12. Spirit, 24, 14 base plus 10 reward. Strength, 25, 9 base plus 16 allotted potential points. Agility, 15, 11 base plus 4 allotted potential points. Allocable potential, 0. Skills: English proficient, driving beginner, shooting proficient, camouflage master. Combat skills: none. Abilities: none. Samsara points: 4,122. Comprehensive evaluation: E. The glowing E-rank drew a satisfied grin from Fenric. With that rating, landing a good job in the real world would be easy. Plenty of private firms, security outfits, and even government programs recruited E-class or better. Just roll up your sleeve and show the moon mark. Done. And no, you couldn't fake it. The evaluation sigil differed from tattoo ink. The shimmer, pulse cadence, and system light signature made counterfeits obvious to anyone with functioning eyes. Or a scanner. Now he truly understood why Samsara points mattered so much. ARC was willing to throw 20 million at a single dungeon strategy. Even a halved safe zone SSS on re-entry could net 5,000 points, massive value for progression. Too bad he could never re-enter Infernal Affairs. Otherwise, he'd keep the walkthrough and farm it himself. Fenric pulled the dungeon cooldown refresh card from his personal warehouse. A private 3D storage space, roughly 100 cubic meters. Every Samsara player had access to it while in the Samsara space. Only Samsara-generated items could be stored. Real-world goods were stripped and less formally converted via trade. Even traded real items were auto-processed and could not be smuggled back unchanged. He turned the translucent card between his fingers, thinking. Technically, the Samsara space would stay open several more hours. Enough time to dive into another safe zone dungeon immediately. Pop the card, skip cooldowns, chain progression. But mentally, he was drained. Infernal Affairs had been all nerves, timing, and social play. Running another copy, while tired, was how people threw away lives. Better to rest. He dismissed the warehouse interface, wandered the Samsara Plaza a bit to clear his head. Then exited to reality. Fenric reappeared in his bedroom. Digital clock, 03:11 a.m. Still hours before dawn, perfect. He dropped to bed and slept. Across town, in Moon Bay. One of City's top luxury residential communities. A villa bedroom shimmered. A slim figure phased in from Samsara transition. A girl, maybe 18. Short one-piece dress showing long, perfectly lined legs. Porcelain skin, large midnight eyes framed by dense lashes. A light, sculpted nose, small lips unfairly pretty. This was Arc, the middle-aged woman from Infernal Affairs dungeon. Shura, she hissed through her teeth, equal parts admiration and irritation. She snatched up her phone and dialed. "Hello, Dad." A groggy male voice answered. "Isla, it's late, shouldn't you be sleeping?" "Oh wait, didn't you queue a dungeon tonight?" "How'd it go? What rank did you?" "Don't ask," she cut him off. "Dad, I need funds, 20 million. He woke up fast. "What for?" "There's a Samsara player who just pulled the first ever SSS Super God rating. Infernal Affairs safe zone, I contacted him, I'm buying his strategy." "What SSS? No one's ever." He stopped, recalibrated. "If that's true, 20 million's cheap, I'll wire it immediately." "One more thing," she added. "He wants gold, not transfer. Can you arrange bullion valued at 20 million? Trade will route through Samsara escrow." "I know a dealer, I'm negotiating business anyway." "I'll be back by dawn, wait for me, I'll handle it personally." "Okay, I'll wait." She hung up, eyes still cold. Chapter 14, the name Shura blows up the net. Early morning, Fenric had just finished washing up when the front door clicked open. A scruffy-looking middle-aged man stepped in, plastic takeaway bags in hand. His clothes smelled faintly of machine oil and night shift. "Oh, awake on your own today. That's progress, Tilda," he laughed. "Breakfast on the table, eat, then get to school." "Okay, got it," Fenric said. He watched the man a moment longer. This was his current father, Father Eric. Only in his early 40s, but years of rotating shifts and hard labor had aged him. According to inherited memory, Fenric's mother vanished mysteriously not long after giving birth. She was never found. Father Fenric had raised him alone. Feeding him, changing him, dragging him through childhood one worn-out paycheck at a time. A respectable man, Fenric thought quietly. Noticing the stare, Father Fenric rubbed his cheek. What? I got something on my face. No, nothing, I'm heading out, running late. Fenric grabbed the breakfast and hurried off. The classroom was already buzzing when he arrived. The moment he stepped through the door, he heard it. Amin-chan, someone in Samsara got an SSS Supergod rating last night, is that real? Yeah, real, I was online when the system broadcast hit. Holy, whoever that is, they're insane. I heard the nickname Shura, total monster. I know the handle, I want the real identity. If I knew who he was, I'd kneel and beg to join his carry squad. I saw his avatar, full mask, assassin build. He definitely doesn't want to be recognized. You can swap faces in Samsara, but not gender. So we at least know he's male. SSS first ever. And in Infernal Affairs, one of the trickiest safe zone dungeons. Look, State News just ran a segment, the whole net's talking about him. Check the Samsara forum, someone's offering 30 million for Shura's dungeon guide. Rich people are built different. If I had that cash, I'd buy too. The chatter rolled across the room like surf. Outwardly calm, Fenric felt a cold flutter in his chest. If anyone figures out I'm Shura, only trouble will follow. Good thing the body's previous owner had enough sense never to share his Samsara identity at school. Otherwise, last night's run would have painted a target on my back. He slipped into his seat and pulled out his phone. No surprise, the net was drowning in Shura. If this world used hot search rankings, the name would be sitting at number 1 with flames. He opened the Samsara forum, the largest official community site since Samsara Space appeared. Every major topic, build, rant, and rumor about dungeon worlds ended up there. A top-ranked thread sat pinned with tens of thousands of replies. 30 million for Shura's Infernal Affairs strategy, serious buyer. Body text. I'm offering 30M Jade coins for first-hand clearance intel from Shura's SSS, run in Infernal Affairs. If Shura is willing to sell, contact me in Samsara, ID, 9 Frontiers. Replies scrolled fast. FK, local tyrant bids 30M like pocket change. Money really does solve everything. No joke, if I had 30M, I'd buy too. SSS safe zone rewards are insane, even halved on replay. Op leads the 127 bidders so far. Lending the thread, Brother Shura, I'm top-tier beauty. If you're not short on cash, sell to me, I'll be yours. Pics or it didn't happen. Fenric's brows drew together. 30 million, higher than his deal with Ark. Looked like I sold it cheap. Or was that bait? Anonymous posts, big numbers, it could be a trap. A data harvest, or a scammer fishing for contact details. He closed the thread. Doesn't matter, better assure 20 million from a known buyer than chasing mystery. Chapter 15, The School Bell from Charlotte's Troubles. The bell rang, signaling the start of lunch. Students spilled out of the classroom in noisy clusters, rushing toward the cafeteria. Rick! A pudgy hand thumped Fenric's shoulder. Behind him stood a round-faced boy grinning ear to ear, Jiddo. One of the original Fenric's few friends. Come on, lunch is on me today. Fenric raised a brow. So generous, did you strike gold overnight? Heh heh, Jiddo puffed his chest proudly. Run a dungeon last night, scored a C rating, got 300 Samsara points. My dad was so happy, he tossed me 5,000 jade coins. Fenric almost laughed. So that's it, not lunch, just bragging rights. Still, he played along. Impressive, which dungeon? Haha, Charlotte's Troubles. Hey Rick, want the guide? Call me brother, and I'll tell you every trick. He looked so smug it was almost cute. Fenric ignored the bait and stood. Didn't you say lunch was on you? Let's go. Truth was, Fenric already knew Charlotte's Troubles. A low-tier safe zone copy, main quest about building prestige. The first clear wave had gutted most of the rewards, hardly worth his time. Oh, playing hard to get, huh? Let's see how long you can hold out. Jiddo huffed, then shouted loud enough for the whole class. If you want my guide, you gotta call me brother. Show off, typical teenager moves. Fenric brushed him off. Where are we eating? Jiddo gritted his teeth like a martyr, about to bleed money. Deli restaurant, best spot near campus. The deli was the priciest joint within walking distance. Sleek decor, soft lighting, and dishes that bled wallets dry. Normally a place for the school's rich kids. Jiddo, desperate to flex, went big. As soon as they sat, he rattled off an order worth at least 2,000 or 3,000. Fenric didn't stop him. He wasn't one to freeload, and when his 20 million deal cleared, he planned to return the favor. The place buzzed with chatter, packed tables, clinking dishes, students laughing in clusters. "Holy, the school bell's here," Jiddo suddenly blurted, eyes bulging. He jabbed a finger toward the door. "Rick, look." Fenric glanced over. A group of girls in their school's uniform walked in. Sunlight catching on glossy hair and long legs. Leading them was a girl whose presence outshone the rest. A delicate face, porcelain skin, bright eyes framed by long lashes. Every feature was fine enough to sketch, her whole figure radiating youth and vitality. Isla Wynn. The name surfaced from memory, the undisputed school flower. Fenric's gaze lingered for a heartbeat, then slid away. Pretty sure, but just a kid. Beside him, Jiddo ogled like he'd spotted a rare Pokémon. For about 3 seconds before regaining composure. Most guys weren't actually drooling idiots outside of dramas. "Rick," Jiddo said, lowering his voice. "You really don't want the Charlotte Guide. That dungeon's been farmed dry, not interested." "Shame." He leaned closer, whispering conspiratorially. "Did you know there's a school bell NPC in that copy? Not as hot as Isla Wynn, but the body few. Only catch is, she likes talented guys, tough nut to crack." Fenric's fingers paused on his chopsticks. "Of course I knew. I also know how the original protagonist captured the school bell's favor. If I went, I could clear that arc easily." The thought passed as quickly as it came. He wasn't about to burn a dungeon cooldown refresh card for virtual romance. Fenric was a steel-straight pragmatist. Jiddo kept going, whispering like they were plotting a heist. "Heard someone say Dororo from our class already won her over in that world. Don't know if it's true, but damn, lucky guy." Fenric chuckled silently. "Hormones everywhere. Physically, I'm still a teen, but mentally, worlds apart." The food arrived fast, plates clattered down, steam curling. Jiddo's bragging died the instant he started eating, mouth too full for words. Within minutes, several dishes were half gone. "Rick," he mumbled through a stuffed cheek. "You full, want me to order more?" "I'm good." Fenric rose with a smile. "Bathroom, wait for me outside." "Sure thing." Jiddo waved him off, already fishing out his phone. Head down, tribe, universal species. Fenric was washing his hands when a voice drifted from just beyond the door. A girl's voice, low but clear. "Dad, when can you come back? I need to trade tonight. The gold bars have to be ready in advance." Yeah. No, don't bring food. I already ate with my classmates." "And listen, the 20 million in gold might not be enough. I have to cover half the transaction fee, about 23.5 million in total." "Okay, I'll wait for you at school." Fenric's pulse spiked. Gold bars, 20 million handling fee. There was only one deal in Samsara that matched those numbers. Keeping his expression calm, he dried his hands and stepped out. Just as the girl who'd been on the phone turned around. Chapter 16, Official Warning. Isla Wynn. The girl Fenric overheard on the phone. The one arranging a 20+ million gold Samsara trade. Was none other than Isla Wynn, the school belle. And from what she'd said, gold bars, handling fee, tonight's trade. There was no doubt. She was Ark, the masked Samsara player who negotiated to buy his infernal affairs strategy. What are the odds? Fenric was stunned for half a heartbeat, then smoothed his expression. He walked past her as if nothing had happened. Fenric slid into his seat. "Fatty, what do you know about Isla Wynn?" Jiddo looked up, eyes narrowing in gossip mode. "Why, don't tell me you're aiming for Goddess Isla." "Forget it, that guy Dororo rolled up with a supercar motorcade to confess last month." "Total rejection, think you've got better odds." Fenric sighed. "I'm not chasing her, just asking, her family well off." "You didn't even know, and you thought of chasing." Jiddo slapped the table. Her old man is Fernando Wynn, chairman of Wynn Real Estate, one of the biggest developers in our city. Then he leaned in, voice all mock brotherly wisdom. Dreams are fine, but don't fly into the flame, Rick. Listen to your big bro, pick a reachable target. Yeah, you done eating, let's get back. Hold up, I'm paying, don't steal my moment. No one's stealing it. Say thanks at least, you heartless donkey. They returned to school and settled into the grind. Fenric pretended to listen, his mind was elsewhere. He had a dungeon cooldown refresh card, no month-long wait. He could queue again tonight. But what to run? By the final bell, after thinking the whole class, he decided. The Samsara Tower. The tower was the most dangerous content in all of Samsara space. 99 floors, each a deadly world. Fail a mission there and you weren't penalized, you were erased. Real death. For most players, entering the tower was gambling your life on a 9 in 10 chance of never coming back. For Fenric, not necessarily. He knew plots, and in the tower, knowledge was a blade. After class, Jiddo wanted to hit an internet cafe. Fenric declined and went straight home. His father was on another night shift, the apartment was dark and quiet. Fenric made a quick meal, ate, and booted up his computer. He logged into the Samsara forum. Shura chatter was still pinned all over the front page. Some lunatic buyer had already bumped the Infernal Affairs strategy offer to 40 million. Tempting, but Fenric stayed firm. Better to close with a known buyer, ARC, than chase clouds. He closed the thread and pulled up tower research instead. The forum had a sticky banner. Official notice, Samsara Tower Safety Guide. Fenric clicked. Warning, the Samsara Tower is an extremely dangerous zone, death risk is high. Floor 1 Dungeon World, World War Z. Viral outbreak, nearly all humans are infected. Zombies are fast, strong, and lethal. Infection rule, a scratch is enough, transformation can occur in 10 seconds. Mission objective, kill at least 10 zombies. Survive 10 hours in the infected world. Sound alert, zombies are highly sound sensitive. Gunfire or loud combat can trigger mass swarms, plan your kills. Official recommendation, do not attempt floor 1 unprepared. Accumulate safe zone points first, and raise agility to 25+. Lower agility drastically reduces survival odds under pursuit. Prep window, upon entry, Samsara players receive 30 minutes of preparation. Use this time to secure a defensible high position. Clear reward, survive 10 hours and meet the 10 kill requirement to clear. Return transport and rewards granted on completion. Injury reset, unlike safe zone dungeons, Samsara Tower clears restore health at extraction, even severe wounds. Only if you survive to mission complete. Performance note, the more zombies you eliminate beyond the 10 kill minimum, the higher your evaluation. But also the higher your exposure risk, proceed within your limits. Fenric leaned back. Fast zombies, sound aggro, tight prep window, agility recommended 25+. His was 15, below standard. But he had plot knowledge. And now, with master camouflage, creative mobility, and ranged proficiency, he might not need flat stat superiority to survive. It wouldn't be safe. But it would be worth it. Chapter 17, I've always been honest. After closing the official guide, Fenric's eyes gleamed. Not because the strategy was impressive, but because of what it revealed about the first floor. The Samsara Tower. World War Z. For Fenric, that name was all too familiar. In his previous life, the movie World War Z had been one of his favorite apocalyptic thrillers. He remembered every key detail, every plot twist. The guide wasn't wrong. The zombies in that world were fast, brutal, and far stronger than ordinary humans. But they had a fatal weakness. As long as you exploited that weakness, you could carve through them like a butcher through chickens. Even survive a siege without a scratch. The best part, no one else in the Samsara world seemed to know this, only Fenric. Since it's World War Z, I'm at least 80% confident I can clear it. And if luck's on my side, maybe even pull a top-tier rating. His eyes hardened. Tonight, he would challenge the Samsara Tower. He shut down the computer and stretched out on the bed. Even knowing the plot, the danger was real. A single misstep meant death. He needed to be sharp, rested, focused, ready. There was no need to read other strategies online. Not arrogance, just fact. No one in this world understood that world better than he did. Midnight. At exactly 12:00, the alarm chimed. Fenric's eyes snapped open. The full moon emblem on his arm began to glow faint crimson. He clenched his fist a moment later. Flash. His room vanished. The figure of Shura reappeared in Samsara Square. Barely had he materialized when a crisp prompt sounded. You have a new message. ARC invites you to a video call. Please respond. Connect. A holographic window bloomed before him, revealing the masked girl, ARC. Good evening, Fenric greeted casually. ARC didn't waste time. Shura, meet me at the trading center. I'm waiting. Understood. The feed cut immediately, no extra words. Fenric chuckled and shook his head. Straight to business, huh? System, send me to the trading center. Teleporting. A blink later, Fenric stood before the massive glass doors of the trading center. Inside, the place buzzed with life. Samsara players haggling, exchanging goods, forming parties. Trading in Samsara space was the safest way to handle high-value deals. Shura. He turned, ARC was waving him over. Come with me. She led him to a private room, closing the door behind them. Rows of similar booths lined the corridor, each warded for confidentiality. I've prepared the gold bars, ARC said briskly. Including the handling fee, that's 23.5 million worth. Let's trade. Wait, Fenric interjected. ARC froze, a flicker of wariness crossed her masked face. What now? Have you checked the Samsara forum today? Fenric's tone was mild. Someone's offering 40 million for first-hand clearance data on infernal affairs. Her posture stiffened. What are you implying? You planning to jack up the price now? Nothing like that, Fenric said with a calm smile. I've always been an honest man. Hathy. ARC gave a sharp, humorless laugh. Then what's this about? Just a small request before we finalize, that's all. He spread his hands innocently. Think about it, I'm letting this go for 20 million. That's half the current bid. Asking for one little favor isn't too much. Chapter 18, is that even human? What do you want? ARC narrowed her eyes wary. Fenric smiled. Relax, nothing excessive, just answer one question. What question? Listen carefully, you can only answer no or don't know, got it. Question, does your family know you're an idiot? Dawn, ARC froze halfway through. I am not an idiot. Too late, reflex answer logged. Fenric burst out laughing. Ever since he'd realized that the masked Samsara ARC was actually his school belle Isla win. He'd been itching to mess with her. Half for stress relief, half for petty amusement. He'd be heading into the Samsara Tower right after this. That meant risk, real risk. Letting tension build unchecked was bad mental prep. So, tease the rich girl, bleed off nerves. Happiness built on someone else's suffering. Not noble, effective though. Find that funny, ARC snorted. You're insufferable, Shura. Fenric shrugged. My mood improved, we can trade now. ARC opened her personal warehouse and withdrew a secure case. Gold bars stacked and sealed. Full amount, fee already deducted through the Samsara system, check it. Fenric waved it off. I believe you. She added briskly. Reminder, real-world items can't remain in Samsara indefinitely. Remove the gold within 3 hours or the system absorbs it, no refunds. He hadn't known that. Noted, thanks. You've got the gold, she pressed. Now the infernal affairs strategy, and don't try to cheat. I flagged this trade for system arbitration. If your intel's worthless, you refund everything, including the 30% fee. Fenric nodded. Fair, want it written or verbal? Verbal is fine. Fenric cleared his throat. Infernal Affairs is a cops versus Dryad infiltration duel. Both sides have moles. That's the core mechanic. Identify them, leverage trust, trigger internal shift, and feed the right authority. Police moles. Inspector Andy Lau of the Intelligence Division, Agent Luck, First Class under him. Both tied to Triad boss Eric Sang. Triad mole. Anthony Wong Chao-sang is actually police undercover inside Eric Sang's crew. The system's main mission asks for 1 mole, but clearing more increases evaluation score. Turning suspicion early is key. Ark leaned in, her eyes were shining behind the mask. Trigger point, she asked. Fenric continued. I approached Superintendent Wong directly. Told him I'd accidentally witnessed a meeting between Andy Lau and Eric Sang. Gave him a code phrase. If Andy Lau calls and says, Dad, I can't come home for dinner tonight. Treat it as a signal leak. And the clincher, Ark pressed. I gave him the transaction site in advance, Long Bath Beach. The drug handoff between Eric Sang and the Taeku side. Superintendent Wong moved to intercept. That forced divergences. He tested Andy Lau, contained comms, and swept once the bust landed. Result, 7 total moles exposed. Ark stared. Shura, how do you know all this? He'd already prepared his cover story. Ran Infernal Affairs 7 times, mapped trust routes, failed a lot, collected data. That shut her up. Anyone who cycled a dungeon 7 times and kept at it, not a casual. I have to ask, she said after a beat. In your last run, what exactly did you say to Superintendent Wong? That made him flip on Andy Lau and Luck so fast. I gave him the code script, Fenric replied. Told him if Andy Lau says Dad plus can't come home for dinner, that's a leak to Eric Sang. Then I tagged Long Bath Beach as the trade site. I implied I tail-witnessed Andy Lau meeting Eric Sang, pushed just enough. Superintendent Wong took the bait. He paused. That's the wording I used. Ark thought it through, then asked what she really wanted. So if I copy your route, I can get SSS. Fenric shook his head. Not guaranteed, depends on performance. If Superintendent Wong doesn't believe you, nothing triggers. Your acting, timing, and how early you force him to quarantine comms, those matter. And got it. She closed the warehouse case and locked the trade. Remember our agreement, 1-month exclusivity. You don't sell Infernal Affairs intel to anyone else. No problem, Fenric said. Transaction complete. Chapter 19, Renee Chu and Ethan Jade. After finishing the trade with Ark, Fenric stepped out of the trading center. System, send me to the Samsara Tower. Light flared, and he reappeared before a structure so vast, it seemed to spear the heavens. Samsara Tower. Each level spread wide like an imperial palace terrace, stacked one atop another. From ground level, the 99th floor vanished into cloud. As if the tower truly pierced the sky. Compared with the always busy safe zone dungeon hall, the tower's entrance looked sparse, relatively. In truth, plenty of Samsara players milled about. For all its danger, the tower was the only reliable path to real power. Safe zone dungeons never dropped high-grade abilities. No superpower awakenings, no devil fruits, no Saiyan bloodlines. Those came from the tower. Danger or not, people chase strength, human nature. Nearby, a cluster of Samsara players were huddled around a floating hollow display. Voices loud enough to carry. Damn, Wolf Fox, check the rankings. Adam just hit S-rank overall, world number 1. No way S-rank, the only one, that guy's a monster. Wasn't there talk he's a colonel in the Syndralock Dominion military? Is that real? Pretty much confirmed, That guy taking the top slot, unbelievable. Get real, even A ranks are freaks. 1 A rank could wipe a regiment, S rank might as well be a walking nuke. Who stops that? Not our problem, let the big shots worry about nukes. We just clear dungeons. Today I'm running the Mountain Village Old Corpse. I swear I'm taking down that ghost, Renee Chu. Bro, don't get cocky, she's beautiful, yeah, but resentment class. Also, she's really scary. Just find a safe bolt hole and survive 3 days, that's the main objective. I'm queuing Kung Fu Jungle, got tips. Yeah, don't fight Feng Yusao unless you have a death wish. Laughter nervous but real. Hearing them, Fenric's brows rose. Someone actually hit S rank overall, impressive. Still, he had his own path. knowing the plot was his edge. One day, he'd climb higher than all of them. Maybe even clear all 99 floors, and find out whether that become a god rumor held truth. He drifted closer to the crowd and looked up at the projected board they were staring at. A top 100 list, issued by the Samsara system itself. 1 Adam-S red glyph. The name alone screamed ambition, first human of the Bible, bold. 2 Aurora Morwen A. Avatar suggested a woman, Jadeville nation's descent. 3 Sventavit A. Named after a Slavic war deity from Wintervale country. Slots below continued in descending order, A ranks filling out the rest of the board. Only Adam were the lone S. It reminded Fenric that ranking letter did not equal strength. 2 A ranks could still be worlds apart. He skimmed the list, then moved on. Fenric stepped toward the tower's entrance and walked face first into empty air that pushed back. An invisible barrier. A system prompt chimed. Hello, Samsara Player Shura. You are not currently eligible to enter. Cooldown in effect, please return in 29 days, 1 hour, 22 minutes. Fenric slapped his forehead. Right, entry cooldowns. Good thing he'd planned ahead. He opened his personal warehouse and withdrew the glowing, card-shaped token he'd earned from Infernal Affairs. System, use dungeon cooldown refresh card. The card dissolved into drifting starlight and sank into his arm. Chapter 20, 21 Great Blades, the Black Sword Shusui. After using the dungeon cooldown refresh card, Fenric approached the Samsara Tower once more. This time, no barrier blocked his path. He stepped through the entrance and reached floor 1. The entry hall stretched wide before him. Stone pillars rose high, lacquered beams gleamed, and carved screens adorned the space. The architectural style echoed an ancient fantasy dynasty. It stood in complete contrast to the modern safe zone aesthetic. As he absorbed the view, a palm-sized Samsara elf spirit fluttered into view. Hello, Samsara Player Shura, how may I help you? Fenric took a calming breath. Cue me for a dungeon mission. The available dungeon world for this floor is World War Z, confirm entry. He already knew floor 1 had a fixed assignment. Still, hearing the confirmation made it feel real. Confirm. A red flash engulfed him completely. He materialized inside an all-white chamber. This was the tower's pre-deployment staging space. Each wall displayed a massive digital countdown, numbers ticking steadily downward. 17:00, 1659. This was the prep window. Once it reached 0, they'd be dropped into the infected world. He wasn't alone in the chamber. Dozens of Samsara players had already arrived ahead of him. More flared in every few seconds, each delivered by a flash of light. So this is tonight's first wave, Fenric thought. Everyone queuing for the next zombie batch. Tower missions differed greatly from safe zone dungeons. Safe zone dungeons were flexible, low-risk, personal or party queue options. Monthly re-entry was allowed after failure. The tower, on the other hand, ran in hourly batches. Failure here meant death. So everyone who queued during the hour window got pooled together. They were staged and dropped according to mission rules. Countdown 10 minutes. At the 10-minute mark, a system prompt boomed overhead. Attention, Samsara players, teleportation to the mission world begins in 10 minutes. After that announcement, the transfer stream was cut off. No new arrivals blinked into existence. Fenric counted the heads around him. 41 players total. Some huddled together in small groups. Clearly parties who knew each other well. Others, like himself, stood alone. Lone wolves or confident experts who preferred solo clears. Clap, clap, clap. A young man slapped his palms together. The sound was loud enough to draw everyone's attention. Heads turned in his direction. Fenric glanced over as well. The guy wore a punk-style outfit. His face looked exaggerated, almost like a comic hero. An obvious disguise. But what caught Fenric's eye wasn't the appearance. It was the long blade hanging at his waist. Real-world gear couldn't be brought into Samsara space, much less into tower missions. So the weapon had to be a Samsara item drop. And not just any ordinary one. Fenric stared at it closely, Something about the curve, the guard, the coloration struck him. Recognition dawned on him suddenly. His eyes narrowed, then flashed with understanding. Black sword Shusui. Transliterated as autumn water. One of the 21 great grade blades from the One Piece dungeon world. In that world, Shusui had belonged to the legendary swordsman Ryuma. He hailed from Wano country, where the blade was considered a national treasure. After Ryuma's death, both his corpse and the sword were stolen. Gecko Moria had taken them. Animated as a zombie soldier, Ryuma later fought against Zoro. He acknowledged Zoro's strength and passed Shusui on to him. A top-tier weapon with an enchanted lineage. Battle proven through countless conflicts. How does some first-time tower rookie possess that? Fenric wondered. It couldn't have originated from the safe zone. The only explanation was that someone powerful had gifted it to him. Family, patron, or clan backing. Background, heavy, possibly second generation of a major Samsara power. Fenric memorized the face, fake or not, along with the blade. Never underestimate someone carrying a national treasure sword. Chapter 21, Mission Survive. A sharp voice sliced across the staging room. Hello everyone, quick introduction, name's Solis Armand D-Class Samsara. Gasps rippled throughout the chamber. D-Class. World War Z was the first tower floor. That meant everyone here was transitioning up from the safe zone. Getting one's overall strength to D rank before ever touching the tower. That required a brutal grind. This guy wasn't ordinary at all. Solis lifted his sleeve for everyone to see. The glowing full moon sigil on his wrist clearly displayed a bold D. System evaluation scale, S, A, B, C, D, E, and so on. He soaked in the reaction, smiling with satisfaction. We all know how dangerous Floor 1 is, he continued. So here's my proposal, form an alliance. We sign a system pact, after mission clear, rewards split evenly. He gestured widely at the gathered players. More people, more firepower, hold a defensible high point, cover each other. Survive longer, finish the objective easier, what do you all think? Fenric listened carefully, then dismissed it. An alliance again. On paper, sure, safety in numbers, shared kills, maybe gear pooling. In practice, hidden agendas, loot splits, betrayal, dead weight. And why would a D-Class carry random strangers unless he gained something big? There's no free lunch in the world, especially in Samsara space. Judging from the lack of response, most veterans here understood that too. The crowd stayed cool and composed. Still, there were always optimists present. A handful drifted forward, several were young women, agreeing to join Solis' party. Fenric shook his head slightly. Your funeral or his? Anyone else? Solis asked, scanning the room carefully. Silence answered him. He shrugged and turned to his new party to discuss strategy. 10 minutes later, the overhead system boomed loudly. Teleportation countdown beginning, 10, 9, 8. Red light built steadily under their feet. 3, 2, 1. The white room vanished completely. Spawn location, Boston, United States. When vision returned, Fenric stood in the middle of a bright, bustling metropolis. Traffic flowed smoothly, pedestrians laughed, sunlight poured between glass towers. A roadside sign gave the location, Boston. Atlantic coast, northeastern United States, capital of Massachusetts. Harvard, MIT, the academic capital, soon to become viral hell. Ding! Then came the mission cascade. Mission released. Main objective, survive 10 hours in the city and eliminate at least 10 zombies. Timer 10:00:00. Failure, obliteration. Restriction, do not leave the urban boundary, exit equals obliteration. Scoring hint, more zombie kills equals higher evaluation. Outbreak notice, virus event begins in 30 minutes, prepare accordingly. The text faded from view. Fenric's pulse sharpened immediately. 30 minutes prep window, then the outbreak. Need weapons, choke point, escape routes. Around the city, freshly dropped Samsara players scattered in different directions. Some bolted for rooftops, seeking higher ground. Others raided vehicles, grabbed improvised clubs, flipped dumpsters for barricades. Fenric ignored all of them. Instead, he slipped into a side alley quickly. He vaulted through a window and entered a residential townhouse. Inside, a middle-aged white couple. The husband rushed forward with anger. Maybe assuming a home invasion, maybe just shocked by the intrusion. Fenric met him with a short, heavy punch. The man dropped instantly, knocked out cold. At strength 25, Fenric hit more than twice as hard as an average adult. Most people couldn't withstand one clean shot. The wife shrieked loudly. Quiet, Fenric snapped in crisp English. Scream again, and I'll silence you permanently. She froze in place, shaking visibly. Please don't hurt us, I'll give you money, she stammered fearfully. No money, Fenric shook his head firmly. Guns, where are they? Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Chapter 22, The Best Plan. Fenric hadn't broken into that house for money. He came for a gun. He'd already checked. The safe zone item store sold no live firearms. Real-world guns couldn't be brought into Samsara Tower. That left only one option: acquire locally inside the dungeon world. And this wasn't just any country. This was the United States of America, land of private ownership and retail handguns. Citizens over 22 could buy legally. As a result, firearms saturation was high. Odds were good, almost any household had something locked away. The white woman hesitated under his intense look, then relented. Bedroom drawer. The system had given Fenric a burly Western build for this mission. In that body, his stare carried weight. Take me, he said. No sudden moves, I only want a gun. Please don't make this harder for you or your husband. Okay, I'll take you. She guided him to the bedroom. Moments later, he had what he needed. Beretta M92F, magazine loaded, 6 rounds remaining. Good enough for now. You've got what you wanted, the woman pleaded. Please let us go. Fenric nodded, then applied a controlled strike to the side of her neck, enough to render her unconscious without lasting harm. She slumped beside her already incapacitated husband. He couldn't risk them calling 911 before the outbreak. Later, when the infection spread, emergency response would collapse anyway. He took a wad of US dollar bills from a wallet. Fuel for immediate transport. Stepping out the front door, he spotted a taxi cruising down the street. Fenric signaled it. Driver, black mid-30s, curious eyes. Where to, man? CDC. Oh, you sick, buddy. I'm very healthy, Fenric said, flashing the cash. Get me there in 10 minutes, it's yours. Click motivation achieved. Seatbelt, sir. They made it in 8 minutes. Fenric handed over the money and exited at a jog toward the entrance. He headed for the Centers for Disease Control facility. Clock check, still just over 10 minutes before the system's announced virus event. He needed time to set the plan in motion. Many should be asking why the CDC. Anyone who'd seen World War Z knew the key twist. These high-aggression zombies ignored the terminally ill. Weak immune signatures equals not viable hosts. Screenwriter logic aside, it worked perfectly. In the movie, protagonist Jerry Lane discovered the pattern and used it. He helped humanity strike back. Fenric didn't care about saving the world. His mission was simpler: survive 10 hours, eliminate 10+ zombies, score high. If he could deliberately expose himself to a non-lethal disease marker, something detectable, something the zombies read as an unsuitable host, they would ignore him. He could move freely, pick targets, and farm kills without constant swarm pressure. To do that, he needed pathogens. Attenuated vaccine samples, anything viable would work. So, CDC visit. And in case cooperation wasn't forthcoming, he'd brought a gun for that reason. He pushed through the CDC lobby doors. A blonde nurse at reception looked up. Hello, sir, can I? He didn't answer. He scanned the area until he spotted a middle-aged doctor in a white coat, name badge clipped to the pocket. In the nurse's widening eyes, Fenric revealed the Beretta and moved swiftly toward the doctor. He took hold of the man's collar, steady but firm. He discharged a warning shot upward, the sound echoing sharply through the hall. Bang! The reaction was immediate. People dropped to the floor, instinctively seeking safety. Medical staff crouched low, following protocol. At least they know how to respond to emergencies, Fenric thought. Better than panicking and running blindly. He didn't have time to negotiate. He brought the trembling doctor upright, keeping the situation controlled. Listen carefully, he said, voice cold but measured. You follow my instructions, and you walk out of this unharmed. Otherwise, things get complicated. Okay, the doctor stammered. Good, take me to your virus repository now. Chapter 23, That's Really Unfortunate. The moment Fenric demanded access to the virus vault, the middle-aged doctor's eyes changed. Terrorist, that's what he saw. He didn't argue, didn't bargain. Instinct took over. With unsteady hands, he led Fenric through secured doors, badge after badge, until they reached a heavy blast-sealed cold room. Someone outside must have already triggered an alarm. Fenric didn't mind. In under 10 minutes, the zombie pathogen would sweep Boston. Police response wouldn't matter. Frost curled from the vault as the door opened. The room was a walk-in freezer. Chilled air, metal shelving, rows of cryobox canisters and sealed vials, viruses, isolates, vaccine strains. The doctor glanced back anxiously. Please be careful. If anything in here leaks, it could be extremely serious. Fenric offered a faint smile. Then tell me, which one infects fast and carries a high fatality risk? The doctor tensed. Confirmation, bioterror profile. He hesitated, so Fenric gently, but firmly set the Beretta against the side of his head. You've got 3 seconds. 3. 2. KBN, the doctor blurted. The KBN strain shows the fastest onset, high lethality. Author note, fictional code name. No real virus names used, thanks for understanding. Fenric's eyes brightened. He scanned labels, found the vial, lifted it. Symptoms. Initial, fever, acute follicular reaction, hair loss. After 2 to 3 days, vomiting, headache, joint pain, fatigue, nausea, vertigo. Even healthy subjects decline within 7 days. Perfect. How's transmission, oral injection? Fenric asked. Primarily droplets, injection is faster. Excellent, said Fenric and handed the vial back. Inject me. What? You heard me. The doctor stared, stunned. Sir, that's not, you want to infect yourself. Yes. Fenric's reasoning was simple. Survive 10 hours, extract, get a full system reset. Injuries, illness cleared, no long-term cost. Meanwhile, a strong viral signature would make him unappetizing to the World War zombie strain, just like in the movie. The doctor had no way to know that. Oh my God, this isn't a joke. Do you understand how dangerous? Do it, Fenric said sharply, his tone dropping to a cold edge. Or things get unpleasant. Okay, don't shoot. He grabbed a syringe, drew a measured dose from the vial through the rubber seal, swabbed an injection site, and inserted the needle into Fenric's arm. Then he frantically pulled a mask over his face, as if that would help. At first Fenric felt nothing. Then heat began spreading under his skin. Fever climbing. Good fast take. Outside, muffled through steel and insulation, voices rose. Suspect inside, release Dr. David immediately and surrender, security en route. Fenric ignored them. He still had time. He checked the mission timer in his interface, just minutes now until virus emergence. The doctor swallowed hard. Sir, I did everything you asked, please let me go, I have a wife, kids, they need me. Fenric turned, offering a smile without warmth. That's really unfortunate. They won't be your family much longer. What? Before he could process the meaning, a sharp cry tore through the corridor outside. Then another. Aza. The outbreak had begun. Chapter 24, Chaos Erupts, the End Begins. Help. A single scream tore through the afternoon calm of downtown Boston, and the world shifted. From a crowded open-air market, several figures lurched into the street. They moved aggressively, fast, with unnatural speed. The first pedestrians had barely time to react before chaos erupted. More screams. People shoved, ran, and collided in panic. Someone fell, someone else was knocked down. Those affected stiffened, then, within seconds, their eyes went wild. Skin flushed, movements jerky, mouths open in frantic cries as they surged toward anyone nearby. Roar, roar. Animalistic noises, no human hesitation. Screams, crashes, car horns blaring, windows shattering. In moments, the street dissolved into raw chaos. Several blocks away, atop a 3-story shopping complex, more than a dozen Samsara players watched the scene from above. Most gripped weapons, a few held pistols. At their head stood the punk-styled youth from staging, Solis, his hand resting on a long blade that gleamed faintly. Black Sword Shusui, one of the 21 great blades. Zombies are out, Solis said evenly. Rooftop access secure. Sealed, someone replied. We jammed the stairwell, need heavy equipment to move it. Solis nodded, then pointed. Make noise, draw them in. His plan, lure the infected, guide them below, pick them off from height. He was about to learn just how fast the situation escalated. Back in the CDC, muffled commotion filtered down the corridors. Dr. David went pale. God, what's happening out there? You can step outside and see, Fenric said, smiling through sweat. He looked terrible, face flushed, hair dulling and shedding in thin strands, fever rising sharply. The KBN infection was taking hold exactly as described. Rapid systemic response, immune system surging. Perfect. Doctor, you're free, Fenric said, turning for the door. The relief on David's face was immediate. He scrambled to his feet and hurried toward the exit, family on his mind. He had nearly reached the corridor when Fenric stepped back in. David froze. He thought Fenric had returned to threaten him. Fenric held up the empty hand that wasn't gripping the pistol. Relax, I forgot something. You stock performance enhancers, stimulants. Give me anything that boosts strength and endurance. David sagged with relief. Yes, this way. He led Fenric to a controlled pharmacy shelf and produced 2 vials. This is a steroid, drives protein synthesis, accelerates muscle growth. This one's erythropoietin, stimulates red blood cell production, improves oxygen transport stamina. Side effects are severe, the doctor added quickly. Please use carefully. Fenric accepted both. He had already injected himself with the virus. Side effects were secondary. Thanks, you're a good doctor, he said lightly. Good luck. This time, he left for real. Not long after, Dr. David stepped out of the CDC lobby into pandemonium. Chaos reigned on the streets. People scrambled, avoiding others behaving unpredictably. Debris and overturned objects marked the scene. Figures lurched and surged erratically, teeth bared and eyes wild, without showing explicit gore. David gasped, "Oh God." A blur approached from his left. A woman, her appearance frantic, eyes wild, lunged unexpectedly. He stumbled, falling to the ground, narrowly avoiding injury. Fenric's parting words echoed in his head. That's really unfortunate. They won't be your family much longer. David shivered, realizing the scale of the chaos outside. Chapter 25, Mad, Unbridled Rampage. Fenric didn't bolt from the CDC immediately. Even with plot knowledge and prep, if his sick equals safe gamble failed, he'd be in serious trouble. Better to be sure. He searched the second floor, moving quietly until he heard disturbing noises from an archives room. He eased closer and stopped in the doorway. A female nurse figure was crouched over a prone form, clearly incapacitated. Neither of them were fully dressed. Great, so that's how the outbreak caught them. Fine, test subject acquired. Clapped. Fenric clapped loud. Snap. The nurse figure's head jerked up. She abandoned what she was doing, eyes wild, posture aggressive. Fenric braced, ready for contact. She didn't come closer. Half a meter away, she paused, making noises, throat working, like she wanted to act but couldn't cross an invisible line. His fist slowly unclenched. Then he laughed. Quiet at first, then louder, then wild. Ha 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 ha. Days of tension, plot planning, virus injection, tower stakes, it all blew out of him in manic release. The figure reacted with frustrated noises, but still didn't move closer. Fenric drew his weapon, aimed and fired. The figure fell. Mission progress 1/10. His sickness strategy worked. Others like her recognized him as unusual, good enough. Phase 1, survival buffer successful. Time for Phase 2, chaos. He left the archives room. Down the hall, a cluster of figures charged, then veered off at the last second, moving around him like water around a rock. He didn't waste effort. Picking off one at a time was pointless. He wanted numbers. Outside the CDC, sirens were just background noise. Fenric spotted a city bus blocking the street. He vaulted aboard, moved aside the driver, and took the seat. Licenses, who cared? Law had ended minutes ago. Reverse, align, slam throttle. The bus roared down the street, knocking aside vehicles and driving through panicked crowds, and through the ranks of the infected. You killed a target, progress 2/10. Progress 3/10. Progress 11/10. Progress 12/10. The louder the engine, the more figures converged, perfect for farming. Fenric grinned. With risk gone, he could unleash chaos without restraint. By the time he braked beside a government block, dozens lay in his wake. He dismounted, ignoring the swarm closing in. They parted instinctively, leaving a clear corridor, as if some animal instinct rejected diseased prey. Fenric strode straight through toward his next objective. A large stone sign stood ahead. Police Department. Phase 2 wasn't done yet. Now came guns, lots of guns. Chapter 26, Life and Death Trial, head tilde. In any peaceful modern city, what place stockpiles the most guns? The police station. And not just any station. The one ahead was Boston Police Headquarters, sprawling across an entire block. Fenric had memorized its location from a city map he grabbed back at the CDC. Now, as he crossed the plaza, he saw signs of a recent struggle, overturned barricades, scattered gear, and evidence that a fight had taken place. Some defenders had clearly tried to hold their ground, but the infected didn't yield. Even organized forces could be overwhelmed. Fenric slowed. Unlike on the street, where the infected parted around his virus-flagged body, inside the station there might still be live humans. Cornered defenders were dangerous. Getting caught in a crossfire before securing the basement would be stupid. He moved carefully through hallways marked with drag trails and impact marks, following wall schematics toward basement weapons storage. No survivors encountered. Relief out, door open. He froze at the threshold. Racks rose walls, weapons stacked to the ceiling. Handguns, duty pistols, assault rifles, carbines, shotguns, precision rifles. Crates of grenades, blocks of C4, flamethrowers in cradle racks. Belt-fed heavy guns, 2 large rotary cannons mounted on tripods. Fenric grinned. A bold idea formed in his mind, the kind of plan you only try when the infected won't touch you. Use the police HQ as a fortress. Don't carry the ammo, bring the enemy to the guns. Without a second to waste, he got to work. First, C4 packs. He placed them strategically around streets, doorways, and structural pinch points, ready for later remote detonation. Next, he rolled the twin rotary cannons to the front entrance and adjusted firing arcs to cover converging streets. Then, hauled crates of grenades to the roof for overhead control. He eyed the flamethrowers, considered, and left them. Fire plus swarm risked uncontrolled chaos, better safe than trapped. Rifles and sniper platforms, too slow. Fenric wasn't here for precision, he needed overwhelming coverage. He had armory walls and a city full of bait. While Fenric wired his kill zone, other Samsara players were clinging to survival. The infected locked onto healthy targets like heat-seeking missiles. Barricades bought time, minutes at best. Once a swarm found you, it didn't stop. Many Samsara players had retreated to safe strongpoints. None stayed safe long. Rooftop shopping mall block. On that 3-story mall roof, the alliance led by Solis, the flashy D rank with the black blade, looked down on a surging tide of the infected. At first, they cheered their height advantage, striking and shooting at anything approaching the parapet. That only drew more. Now the streets below were a writhing mass of movement. Tens of thousands, maybe more, flowed in from feeder roads. The building's main stairwell had been barricaded, but walls shuddered under constant pressure. A female Samsara player shouted, "They're overwhelming the entrance, the block's giving way." Faces went pale. "Find anything, block it more, move," Solis barked. Empty rooftop, no furniture, no sandbags, nothing to wedge. Cracks rippled through hastily stacked debris at the stair door. Steel bent. Solis's mind shifted gears. Evaluation scores no longer mattered. Survival did. He glanced at the others, the same people who had eagerly joined his reward split alliance. But his true thoughts? They were expendable, decoys to slow the surge while he escaped. Anyone who had climbed to D rank in the safe zone hadn't gotten there by being soft. Chapter 27, The System Can't Keep Up. Bang! The rooftop barricade blew inward. Boards, desks, and bent pipes scattered as the stairwell erupted in a surge of the infected, a tidal wave forced upward by the pressure below. Those jammed behind kept pushing. Some were crushed and twisted in the chaos, bodies pressed hard against walls and doorframes. Scalp-numbing horror. "Ah!" Several of the female Samsara players screamed. Without a word, the young leader, Solis, turned and ran. He had picked this roof because he'd scouted a fallback, a residential block across a 2 to 3 meter alley. With his D-class stats, the jump was trivial. He sprinted, launched, light as a swallow, and crashed through a window in the opposing building in a spray of glass. Behind him. "Save me." "Brother Solis." "Bring the ladder." "Don't let them help." There was a long ladder near the stair bulkhead. If Solis dragged it across, he could have saved at least a few. But he didn't move. He stood inside the apartment, black sword shusui in hand, expression flat, as the wave of the infected rolled over the rooftop. Because in his real plan, the alliance was expendable from the start. Even if they survived this rush, he intended to draw a horde toward them near mission end. Alliances blocked direct attacks on teammates, but they offered no protection from environmental hazards. A D rank didn't climb that far in the safe zone by sharing rewards. The rooftop survivors realized the truth too late. Boston Police HQ, kill zone setup. It had taken Fenric nearly an hour to finish preparing his trap. C4 packs placed at choke points across surrounding streets, twin rotary cannons positioned at the front approach, high explosive grenades staged on the roof, all set. Final step, aggro. He yanked a police broadcast unit, cranked the volume, rigged it to an external battery, mounted it on a wrecked bus, and looped the loudest garbage techno he could find. "Boom ch, boom boom ch, ladies and gentlemen, move with me." The speaker stack lit the district. Half the city heard it. Every infected did. They converged toward the sound. From alleys, parking decks, and side streets, an unstoppable tide poured toward Boston PD, piling over wrecks, climbing cars, slipping, tripping, stacking. Most people would have collapsed from terror. Fenric laughed. They couldn't reach him anyway. When the streets were so packed he couldn't see the pavement, he triggered the C4 detonator. Boom. Booms, boom, boom. A rolling concussion hammered the district. Building fronts exploded outward. Cars flipped. Smoke and debris lifted into the air. Shockwaves sent the infected tumbling. System prompts flooded Fenric's interface so fast they lagged. You neutralized a target. Progress, 117/10. 118/10. 119/10. 1283/10. 7982/10. Then the messages simply buffered, unable to scroll fast enough. The system couldn't keep up. In a handful of seconds, Fenric had cleared nearly 10,000 of the infected from the area. And more kept coming, drawn by the blasts from miles away. Survivors across Boston stared toward the column of smoke and fire where the police HQ used to be and wondered what kind of lunatic was fighting a war alone. Fenric checked the timer, plenty left. Phase 3, maybe spin up the rotary cannons for cleanup. He grinned. Chapter 28, Massacre. Inside the residential block, Solis wiped the edge of Black Sword Shusui after dispatching a lone infected. He was about to relocate when a rolling string of explosions thundered across the city. He froze. That came from the direction of the police station. He rushed to a shattered window. A column of flame and debris clawed skyward over the Boston Police HQ district. Military strike was his first thought. But he'd studied the World War Z mission before coming to the tower. No army intervention within the 10-hour window, and with global collapse, even regular forces were unlikely to mobilize efficiently. If not military, then only one answer made sense. A Samsara player did this. No native would risk something so loud. Only players with kill objectives and respawn grace in other worlds. Decision made, Solis set his jaw and sprinted toward the blast plume. With his D-class stats, city traversal through streets crowded with the infected was survivable if he kept moving. Police HQ next phase. Police HQ C4 reserves spent, Fenric moved to the next step. He dragged open the main doors. Roar, roar. The entrance was flooded with new waves of the infected, drawn by the earlier explosions and pounding EDM lore. Fenric stood behind a mounted Vulcan rotary cannon, Gatling type, heavy battery leads clamped, ammo feed belted. He settled into the brace, sighted into the incoming swarm. And squeezed. Whirr. The 6-barrel cluster spun up, firing in controlled bursts. Dada dada dada. The weapon tore through the advancing wave, scattering the infected in every direction. With fire rates clearing well over 1,000 rounds per minute per barrel, the cannon painted a tracer-filled arc across the lobby. System prompt surged. You neutralized a target. Progress, 9,976/10. 9,977/10. 9,978/10. 28,213/10. 5 blistering minutes later, the feed drums and belts ran dry. Fenric had expended tens of thousands of rounds, enough to dominate the area, but high rate meant plenty of overpenetration and misses. Even so, the progress counter surged toward 30K. He released the trigger. The Vulcans spun down whining, the barrels glowed red-hot, heat shimmer rippling. The doorway was now a barricade of tangled bodies, spent casings, and smoke curling upward. The smell was overpowering. He exhaled, stepped back, and let the weapon cool. Ammo at HQ wasn't infinite. Time to rotate tactics. Fenric slung a few rifles and headed upstairs. Midway he paused, ducked into a break room, dragged a Simmons mattress from a room, and heaved it out a window to the street below, future jump pad. Impromptu lure, always good to have options. On the roof, rows of high-explosive grenades waited where he'd staged them earlier. Below, new waves of the infected pressed forward, climbing over the barricade. He pulled pins and tossed grenades in measured arcs. Boom. 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 The grenades didn't match C4 or Gatling output, but the blasts and shrapnel still cleared large swaths of the advancing crowd. Frankly, Fenric was already satisfied. The mission asked for 10 neutralizations. He D-crossed 30,000. Even with diminishing returns, his evaluation after extraction would be staggering. He lobbed another string. Boom! From distant rooftops and broken windows, multiple figures watched the spectacle. A lone Samsara player on a police roof, calmly controlling the city's infected. Among those watchers, a young man running with a black-edged blade. Chapter 29, a D-class Samsara knocking on the door. Time elapsed, 8 hours. Remaining, 2 hours until mission ends. Bang! A zombie on the street below snapped backward, clean headshot. You killed a zombie, current progress, 117,692/10. Fenric lowered the sniper rifle, popped a white pill from a blood-stained bottle, and dry swallowed it. Erythropoietin, a performance enhancer providing a short-term boost to endurance and oxygen transport. Massive side effects, irrelevant in a dungeon system reset. His stamina was depleted, this was his second dose. He checked his kit. The roof was littered with shell casings and empty grenade crates. The 200-plus high-explosive grenades he'd prepared were gone. Hundreds of thousands of rifle rounds had been burned through. Only the sniper rifle remained with usable ammo. The results were obscene and overwhelming. Fenric's confirmed kill count had passed 100,000. He'd killed so much, his brain felt numb. His trigger finger moved out of habit more than intent. He lined up another shot. Thud! Something heavy hit the roof behind him. Fenric spun, rifle swinging into position. A young man landed in a crouch, then straightened up. Riot shield in his left hand, black-edged long blade in his right. Eyes on Fenric, with his shield angled against the rifle. Fenric recognized him instantly, the D-class from earlier Solis. "I've been watching you," the youth said, tightening his grip on the shield. "You've killed a lot of zombies these past few hours." Fenric said nothing, expression flat and unreadable. With the noise he'd made, it was only a matter of time. Other Samsaras coming to investigate was inevitable. He wasn't surprised. Seeing no immediate hostility, the youth smiled confidently. "Relax, I'm not here to fight. I came to form an alliance." He pressed on, before Fenric could refuse his proposal. "Look, I get it. You've killed so many that splitting reward sounds awful. But I won't short you on anything. You know the global top 100 rankings, right? Number 97, One Leaf Nose Autumn, he's my uncle, spoils me rot. This sword," he lifted the black blade proudly. He brought it out of the One Piece world directly. "Took it off a top swordsman's dead body, I think his name is Zoro. And he gave it to me as a gift. My uncle's stockpiles are crazy and extensive. You ally with me, I'll make sure you get a powerful special item afterward. No loss to you whatsoever." Fenric let visible surprise show across his features. A top 100's nephew, if true, that explains the gear he's carrying. And if that guy only ranked 97, the monsters above him must be terrifying. Believable, maybe, trustworthy, not a chance in hell. He finally spoke with measured words. "Where are the teammates from your last alliance?" A flicker of annoyance crossed the young man's face. But he recovered with thin composure and control. "Zombies were too strong, we got surrounded unexpectedly. I was the only one who got out alive." Fenric smiled slightly at the response. "Oh, and how do I know that after we ally, I won't perish the same way? Or maybe not to zombies, but to you instead." The youth's jaw twitched involuntarily at the accusation. His real plan was to use Fenric strategically. Ally ride his kill score, engineer an accident, claim the evaluation weight for himself. In Samsara Dungeon, indirect kills after alliance were very doable and common. "You're over